Good day, learners. Yeah, it's another time in class today, and today we'll be discussing the state and the rule of law, a presentation on the three arms of government and its functions. Okay, basically, what we'll be looking at today is the three arms of government, their functions in democracy, and how they function all together. For our objectives, we'll be looking at the institutions responsible for the formulation of the rule of law. Also, we'll be looking at the functions of the institution. That means the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, their functions. And also, we'll be giving examples of people heading such institution, like examples of someone who heads the executive arm of government, examples of someone who heads the legislative, example of someone who heads the judiciary. As we all know, the judiciary is being headed by the chief judge of the federation. So at the end, that by the end of the class today, we're going to know all about that. All right. Introduction. The government is divided into three main arms. As we all know, the government is divided into three main arms, which includes or which comprises of the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Now, each has distinct functions to ensure balance and accountability. Now, these three arms of government, they have distinct functions. They have separate functions to ensure that government is accountable and government is up to work, that government is able to perform those functions in which they have been embedded on by the constitution. All right, so these arms of government, yeah, functions distinctively, but they function together, but distinctively to ensure balance and accountability, to ensure that there's balance. Each arm of government is accountable for whatever they are doing, whatever functions or whatever responsibilities they are given. They are accountable to it, and they can come in front of the masses, the electorate, people who voted them, to say, yes, we've been able to do this and we're able to do that. So government is divided into three main arms, like I said, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Yeah. The legislature, we'll be looking at the legislature first off. The legislature is responsible for making laws. As you all know, in a government system, there are laws. Wherever there are laws, there are rules, and they must be followed. There are guidelines. All right. There's no government without rules and regulation. So the legislature is responsible for making laws. It consists of elected representatives, such as members of parliament or Congress. Now, in the legislature, they have a a big number of Congress members, parliamentary members. They call them parliamentary members, representative. You know, the legislature can actually be called House of Assembly, can be called the Parliament, can be called the Congress, and their members, their representatives that are elected every 4 years, every election in the country. We also elect members in the legislature. So the legislature consists of these members being elected. All right, it consists of elected representatives. Nobody, not anyhow persons can come and just sit down in the legislature. All right, you have to be elected by election. All right, so they are consist of members who are elected. Okay, members of parliament or Congress, as the case may be. All right, below are the functions of the legislature. You know, the legislature are responsible for making laws, and they have basic functions in which makes their work easy, which makes them strike balance, which make them accountable. All right, they are accountable to these functions. Number one is they pass bills to become law. Now, what are bills? Bills are ordinary rules and regulations that have not yet become a law. So the legislature are responsible for passing these bills to become law. All right, in a legislature conference or a legislation meeting, they have when they're about to pass a bill to become a law, they undergo what we call reading stages. They have the first reading stage, the second reading stage, the third reading stage, the fourth reading stage before the executive assents to such bill. So they pass bills to become law. And throughout all these stages, these bills are extensively discussed by members of the House of Rep or members of the Parliament. Also, they approve the appointment of ministers by the president. As you all know, the president is responsible for selecting ministers. All right. These ministers are the people that joins him to carry out policy formulation, to implement policy. Now, these ministers are subject to approval by the legislature. They can't become ministers except the legislature approve of their appointment. Go and check them, go through background check, check their character, check where they are from, check everything, check their finances, check everything about them before these ministers are being approved by the legislature. Okay, yes, you can now become a minister to serve under the president. All right, that's one of the functions of legislature. Another function is they evaluate the performances of the law agencies. Now, the law agencies here, we're talking about the judiciary, agencies in the law. All right, those bodies that has to do with the law, basically the judiciary arm of government. So they evaluate their performances. They check if the judiciary system of government they are fair and just in passing out their laws, or in passing out or in punishing offenders. All right, because there are times that the judiciary might want to compromise. Okay, as a result of somebody maybe being wealthy or a famous person in the society, they might not want to exact the actual penalty for the particular offense such person committed. So the legislature evaluates these performances of judiciary arm of government. Now, law agencies, I'm talking about both the tribunal, I'm talking about the federal high court, we're talking about magistrate court, customary court. So these law agencies, their performances are being evaluated by the legislature. Also, they approve the annual budget made by the president. Now, every year, the president of the country, you all know the president belongs to the executive arm of government, makes annual budget for the country. All right. So this annual budget, this money that is going to be spent on different things in the country, in different sectors of the economy, this budget is being approved by the legislature. Next up, we have the executive. All right, the executive is responsible for implementing and enforcing laws. It includes the president, prime minister, and cabinet members. All right, the executive implement laws that are made by the legislature. All right, any law made by the legislature, any bill that has become a law, such law is being implemented or carried out by the executive. It is important here to know that the executive also formulate policies. All right, they also formulate policies. What are policies? Policies are guidelines, rules, okay, or guidelines for carrying out a particular activity of government. All right, so this is the work of the executive to formulate these policies that will help the masses. All right, can be a policy on education, can be a policy on finance. All right, so all these policies are being implemented and enforced by government. So aside their functions of implementing policies, they also enforce laws. For example, the police is a good example of an executive arm of government. All right, whatever rules, whatever laws that has been implemented, or whatever laws that has been put into place by the country, the police is responsible to make sure that such laws are being adhered to by the citizens of the country. And the executive, we also have the president is an executive, the prime minister, for example, the prime minister of Britain he belongs to the executive arm of government, and cabinet members. In a parliamentary government, okay, sorry to digress, but in a parliamentary government, we have what they call cabinet members because the British people practice parliamentary system of government. So these cabinet members, all of them are part of the executive. Also, the minister, but the ministers, Ministry of Works, Minister for Education, Minister for Health, they all belong to the executive because they all implement and enforce laws made by the legislature. All right, so functions of the executive, we have one, formulation of policies, we have enforce the rule of law, preparation of budget, appointment of professionals. And by professionals, I mean people who would work with the president, people who know their onions. All right, basically the ministers. All right, is the work of the executive to appoint ministers into his cabinet, to appoint ministers into his government. All right, and they must be professionals, not hand-picked minister, not by favoritism or nepotism. People who are of good character, people who are of excellent, excellent charisma. All right, these people are appointed by the executive. All right, next up is the judiciary. The judiciary. The judiciary interprets law and ensures justice is served. It consists of court and justice who oversee legal matters. All right. Judiciary interprets the law. Now, judiciary is an arm of government that interprets the law. Once someone has violated the law, or once someone has gone against the law of the constitution, the judiciary then reads it out for you, spells it out for you that this is what the law says and this is what you should do. So they interpret law and they also settle disputes and a lot of other functions. And it consists of judges, okay, who oversee legal matters. All right, these people are known to be people of quality and good characters. All right. All right, functions of the judiciary. Now, for the basic function is interpretation of the law. They interpret the law, like I earlier said. They make the law clear and make the law free from ambiguity, not too ambiguous. They make it in simple sentence for each and every citizen to understand. They punish offenders, people who break the law are being punished by the judiciary. They settle disputes. Maybe somebody is having a land dispute with his neighbor. Maybe somebody is having a dispute as regards marriage. The judiciary is responsible for the settling of disputes. Also, they check excesses of other organs. For example, the executive arm of government might feel it has too much powers. Okay, might want to carry out policy or implement policy that are way above his power or that are not entwined into the constitution. So the judiciary reads the constitution or spells out the constitution to the executive, telling him or her that no, this particular order you're about to give is not in line with the constitution. So they check the excesses of the executive, they check that of the legislature in the instance that the legislature makes a particular law and the law does not concede with the constitution or does not go in tune with the constitution. The judiciary can check such legislation and make such law void or make such law not to come in existence or make such bill not to become law. So they check the excesses of other organs of the government.
All right, checks and balances. Each arm of government keeps the others in check to prevent abuse of power. This ensures democracy, fairness in governance. So, checks and balances means when each arms of government keeps the other in check, monitors their activities in order to prevent abuse of power. Okay, all right. All right, in conclusion, the separation of powers ensures a functional and just government. Each arms of government plays a crucial role in maintaining law, order, and democracy. All right, separation of powers ensures that government are functional. Okay, they function well and they maintain law and order in democracy. All right, for your take home, briefly explain the functions of various arms of government. Now we've described this arm of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So I want you to go home, do your research other than the other functions other than the one I've given to you. You have to explain their functions. All right, write a detailed explanation on the functions of the various arms of government. All right, and take it search online, make your research online. All right, just play around with it and make it yours. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sneaking with me all through today's class. I hope you enjoyed the class, and please endeavor to subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you in our next class. Do have a lovely and beautiful day ahead. Thank you for watching.